So, welcome everyone who's in the session. My name is Maryse and today I'm here with Daan, my colleague from the Information Lab. And the next half hour we'll talk through some beta features with Tableau 20.20. And since it's a beta version of Tableau, it's not promised that this feature will be implemented in the next version or that they will be the same. The rumor has it that it will be released in the first week of May, let's say around May 7. So we're now going just to look around, play around with it a bit. I'm happy that Daan is here, so we can have also a little discussion, and he will help me with your questions. And if there's something not clear for you, he can assist me in that way, and also share his opinion. And I think it's a really fun way of discovering what will be in the new features. I think it's really important to always be curious about what the new features are, and just to keep yourself up to speed and to dive into that. So yeah, really happy to do this session today and to explore together with you, and just to see what's new and what can we expect. And as a disclaimer, not saying that everything we see today will be the same or will be there at all in the release. So if something is not clear, please drop a message and I can explain it. Even if I need to go a bit faster or slower, just tell us. And if you have downloaded the beta version, you can feel free to click along, and otherwise this session will be recorded and shared. So to start with, what actually is a beta feature? That is something that isn't in the program just yet. I will now go to this tab where I have the website of the coming soon, the Tableau 20.20. These are all features that maybe will be in the new version. Those are the ones that are confirmed. And as you can see, we see different ones like relationship. I can click on this, and then I see a little bit of information. But combining the data, it just got easier and powerful. We will get into this one. And then you also have, for example, let me look at one. Set control they changed, and metrics for a KPI dashboard. That's on the server, I think, but you can always check. Now there you have Explore Product All, and you can go to desktop, and then you see the desktop features. And if you want to look at, for example, server, just click on server. And then, yes, then these are the ones. So if you would like to, see those, test those features, you could be a part of the beta team. And if you're a customer of Tableau, you have the opportunity to go to the to sign up, and then you can download the beta version, test it out, give feedback, try to break things, and say what's working, what's not working. And with that feedback, the product can be improved. And you can do that at the pre-release website. And for example, you could go to the, this is Tableau 2020 beta. And then I know I want to do it for desktop, so I go to desktop. And then I can download the program and and try it out a bit. Okay, so what I did, I downloaded the program, and but let me first go to the current version of Tableau. I have that one. Let's see, I have it here. Okay. So I will do a little demo. And before I forget, maybe it's nice if Dan just said hi, so you know his voice, and then he can just break in whenever he wants to say something or wants to do something. So I think it's nice. Yeah, so if you can introduce yourself a little bit.
Of course. This is my voice. This is Dan speaking, a colleague of Maryse, working for the Information Lab. And we've been looking at the Tableau features together. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them through chat or through the Q&A. I will do my best to help you. I've already shared a few links that you can also have a look at after the session. So you can have a look at the pre-release of Tableau, what features are coming up, or if you want to play around, as I call it, with the product yourself. Just follow the pre-release.tableau.com link that I shared previously.
Okay, thank you, Dan, for the introduction. Okay, well, let's get to the demo. I have here a little data set with different types of fruit in my inventory. I have apple, bananas, and avocados. Those are the ones in my inventory, and there are ones being sold. Those are the bananas, avocados, and the limes. So if maybe you noticed, the inventory and the sold have different fruits. So in the first tab, I do see apple, but I do not see apples being sold. And I see a lime popping up. So those are the two sheets I'm going to use. What I would do in the current version of Tableau, I would make a connection to the data source, and I would have a connection to one tab. You can see it here in the upper corner. So inventory, that's this one.
Maryse?
Oh, I thought I had a question. Okay. If you want to combine those two, you could make a join by dropping it on the right, and there you have your join. And as you can see, the banana and the avocados. Oh, I have a question that you don't hear anything. Is there anyone who can hear me? 1 second. Okay, only Dan, my sidekick, has the issues. Okay, well, then I just continue and I hope he comes back. So thank you all for the heads up. Okay. So this was the normal way of doing it, and now I have an inner join. So as expected, the banana and avocados, they remain. And I can look at my outcome, apple and the lime. This is how it is, how you get used to it. And maybe a little disclaimer, if you work a lot with data, joins are easy for you. It's simple. You're like, this is my thing I'm going to join them on, and this would be my outcome. It's simple. But I can also imagine that if you don't work a lot with data, if you have a different background, like a lot of people have, like me, then in the beginning, the concept is maybe a bit different for you. Even though it's very visible, it's not something you see if you haven't worked with it before. So this would be the standard outcome. And then you see here, inventory fruit. I have my dimensions here and my measures there. Okay, so this is the old version. Now I will go to the beta version, and I will go to my data source. I already have both my tabs in there. And what I now see is that there is a relation. If I click on inventory, let me do it a bit to the side. I have my apple, banana, avocado. And if I click on sold, I have my banana, avocado, lime. So that's different. I don't see the outcome. I don't see the results. So that's not how I'm used working with this. So that's different, but it's okay. And so this is only a relationship. Nothing happened yet. Okay, I will see what I have in my data source, in my sheet. I clicked on my sheet. What I see now, what is a bit different, if I look in my data pane, I am missing my measures and my dimensions. What happened is that now I have the table inventory with only the fruit and then the inventory count. Then you have the sold and then you fruit sold and the amount. So now I have my tables, and per table I have my dimension and measures. So they are not separated anymore. So that's different. At the inventory, there are no numbers. There's only a count. I could drag those in. But at the moment, so I will take this out and show it again. I take from the inventory the fruit. And from the sold, I take the amount. So one from the one table and one from the other table. What happens now is that I have my bananas, my avocado, nobody bought the apples, and I have a null. So the null, the value is coming from my sold, but I don't have the name in my inventory because the line was missing. So that's why I get a null value. So this is already a bit different, and now there is a join being created. If I take all of this out, and I would take the dimension sold, the fruits, and then the amount, the other way around. Then I do have my lime, banana, avocado. I do not have the apple. And that is because in this case, I did not combine anything. I just took everything from one table. So this is why. So this is there is nothing combined. If I take the fruit from the inventory, if I place it on top like this, now you see the apple coming in. So, and then that is why those things are combined. So I will show them in this overview. That's maybe a bit more clear. So on the right-hand side, I use only one table, banana, avocado, and lime. And on the left side, I see the apple and the null value. And in the right corner, I see that the axis has also a null value. And that would make sense because I am missing my lime header cannot connect to anything. So this is how it can look. And I will now go to another data source. Let me, we'll go to the sample superstore. So if you, I think everybody who uses Tableau a lot loves or is a bit tired of this data set. I think I like it, but yes, you can do a lot with it. I will just show you how this looks. Okay, let me remove. So In this case, I only have the orders. If I would like to combine returns, then you see this weird little thing going on. I think that's why they call it also the noodle, because it looks like a little spaghetti thing here. So, and what you now see is the edit relationship. And you can choose the field on where you can, what's the related field. And you can also have some options for performance option. I will get into that later. So, and now if I go to my sheet here, then again, you will see, where are you? If your customer and the order. Am I missing something? I would expect to see my return folder here. That is interesting. Dan, can you still hear me, or are you out?
Yes, no. I think one is called customer, that has customer name, their orders.
The other should be.
I do see returned.
Yeah. That's a bit weird, huh?
On the region. So that is strange. What I would do is just create a clean new data source.
I will do that.
It is a beta feature.
It
it's still beta, so sometimes things might go wrong.
Let me do it this way. Simple superstore. Yep, okay. And then to the data source, orders, oh, already there, and then the returns. Okay, this is good. And then I will go to use the second one. No, I don't see it. That's a bit weird. It's not what I would expect it. So, that's always interesting if you test something beta and then the first time it worked and then the second time it did not. That can always happen, but that's okay. I don't know why yet, but can dive into that later. And then I had another question for you, Dan. Can you maybe explain to us what the difference is between cardinality and the preventreferential integrity?
So if we go to setting our relationship,
Yeah.
we go to our data source where we want to set the relationship. So it's important we're not setting the join, so to speak. We're setting the fields that Tableau can use to start making joins once we use it in our visualization. So actually every joining and everything else that we normally do upfront happens only once we start building our viz. But we can tell Tableau what fields it can start using to create the joins. That's what we do in a relationship. It's sort of what they call the best of both worlds of having joins and blends, so to speak. So if we click on this,
yeah,
on the noodle, so to speak, we have our performance options where we can give Tableau a little bit of more information about our data set that we're trying to combine. So we have our so-called cardinality, where it says already the default is many. So if we hover on it, Tableau gives us a little bit of a tip where it says actually the values in order ID aren't unique. So we know there's multiple order IDs which have maybe the same order ID, which is indeed the case in this data set. Having used Superstore often, I know that every order ID has multiple products. So and every product has their own row. So I know that order ID will come up 3, 4, maybe even 7 times, depending on how many orders I have. But I can help Tableau if it is not a many cardinality, but a 1, I can tell Tableau and say, actually, that's always 1. So there's only unique values available in this data set, which will help Tableau to understand how it should create the joins. And we can do the same for returns. In returns, it's the same case. We might have multiple order IDs with might be returned twice. We don't know. They might return them, get something back, and return them again. Or they return maybe one product, and a week later, another product. If we set this incorrectly, so we set it to a cardinality of 1, well, actually there are some multiples, that's when we can have some issues. I still have to test exactly those issues personally, but it already tells you there's going to be duplicates in aggregate. So it's going to be counting or summing or averaging incorrectly. If we set the cardinality to 1, whilst actually it's many. If we set it to many, whilst actually it's 1, there's going to be less issues.
Yeah, makes sense.
So this is something that you should know your data upfront before you start setting and changing the cardinality.
Yeah.
The referential integrity says something not about the data, but on how should I join the data? How do they relate between those two sources? So my table for orders, do I have all of the records in orders? Should they match all of the records in returns? Mm-hmm. Well, maybe yes, maybe no. It's sort of, I would like compare it to, is it an inner or an outer join? Is it a left inner join? Is it a left outer join? So I still have to match these, because sometimes I notice during the beta release, I expect a certain outcome, but I get something else. Mm-hmm. So again, it's very important to know your data that's behind what you're trying to join. So in my opinion, and I don't know if you agree, Maryse, I think knowing the data that you're trying to get into Tableau becomes more and more important.
Yeah.
Because you won't see the outcome of your join or your relation until you draw it into your viz.
Yeah, it's different indeed, because you don't see the outcome up front, and that can make it a bit different. But on the other hand, the other thing is the one you knew or you know, so you expect it. So now this is different, so it's always a bit of a change. I think if you are new to this, maybe it's more easy, or you don't expect anything at all. So that's with an open mind. So I don't know, how do you say? I'm still thinking, hey, how should I use it on the best way? Why can I not see it up front? But sometimes you're used to things, and then you expect it to be a certain way. So it's all about testing and try to break it, and to see what happens, and just to play around with it. That's why I like, for example, Dan hosted an internal community session, and then he and we together just tested out things, and then you can just see what happens, and you do it together. And I think that's really also a cool thing to do, just to talk about it and to see what happens. So maybe there are questions, or maybe there are things not clear that we can answer now, or
yeah, I don't know if any of the participants have any questions. They want to know, like, hey, what's changed? Can I still do X, Y, or Z?
Seems to be clear for now. I assume I don't hear any questions. And since I was saying this would be half an hour, I think it's also time to finish it up, unless there are other questions.
I thought maybe it was good to show that actually, so we can set relationships in the new relationship model, but if we close this relationship editor down and we remove, for instance, returns, this black thing happens in beta.
Yeah, because
so
I have the dark mode. Yeah, and then you can change
if we remove the returns from this data set,
yes,
if we double click on orders, I can still get into my very something that I may already know, which is how to build joins. If I feel more comfortable, that's where I would do this. So I could still set the joins if I want to.
Yeah, if you want to, it's indeed possible, but yeah, and if you don't want to, you can just see how where the data takes you. I think it's indeed important to know your data to see what's there. And of course, it's always important to know what to expect. But you can also use Tableau to browse, to look into your data, and then to get to know your data. And
I think we need to start wrapping it up because we don't want to take too much of your time.
No, I was just about to wrapping it up. I was just trying to say if you want to learn more, we have also some links, how they indeed differ from joins, and that you can and how to use the performance options a bit more in depth than we just told you. And there's also documentation on the beta that's a bit more extensive. We will also share these links. And to wrap up, we do have more sessions about, for example, Tableau Prep, but also data-gedreven cultuur in jouw organisatie. That's in Dutch. And the ones on Prep, I think next Friday or Wednesday is the next one about pivoting. And if you want to know more, this recording will be on YouTube, and we also have some blogs we write. This is an example from first look at the relationship model, and then if you go to blog, you will see different blogs. So that could also be an interesting thing. Yes, so I want to thank you for your time and thank you for participating. And I'm really curious on what you think of it and what you would like to see next, so we can dive into that part. And yes, always happy to hear. And if you still have questions, you can always send me a message. So yes, I hope you liked it, and see you the next time. Thank you.